What's up, sad boys? How's it going? I am not done with the Mark and the Tom and the Travis show just yet. Now, in order to contextualize my entire childhood, I'd be remiss if I did not cover the two contentious albums in Blink-182's history. Boxcar Racer versus Plus 44. The entire reason Blink-182 broke up in the first place. Tom and Travis plus other people show up, maybe a Tim Armstrong or two. And on the Plus 44 side, this is Mark and Travis's project after Blink broke up with some other people in it. Which side project holds up the best? That is what I'm here to figure out. What are the best tracks to keep or to yeet?
Wish I was young, wish I was shy, I wish I was.
In case you're curious, there is an edited version available. Here we see Tom Delonge trying to be more mature, trying to be more introspective, speaking inwardly about himself and the world. Now, does Tom come off as more mature? I believe this is right after Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. So it definitely sounds more mature than Tom is on that album. Does have a way of sounding almost more immature by how kind of whiny he is when he's trying to create this insecurity. Like, I'm just a sad, scared kid playing music. And it's like, Tom, you're in your 20s and you have a fucking platinum record out and you're in one of the biggest bands in the world. Like, produced several years after Boxcar Racer, this is definitely gonna have a different feeling. Plus 44 has a couple advantages. It's produced much cleaner, better than I would say the Boxcar record is. Boxcar Racer feels a little rough around the edges. On purpose, it gives it a unique tone, a unique angsty teen tone within itself. Plus 44 has a way of that maturity feeling earned, and I'll do my best to hold back my Mark Hoppus bias. Sometimes I wish I was smart. I wish I would make cures for how people are. What do you mean you wish you made cures for? Like brain things? I wish I could lead. I wish I could change the world for you and me. Very teenagery. Like, I'm gonna write my first angry, bitter song right after a breakup. This has the same sense of bitterness about it, and it has kind of that anger seething below the vocals. I wake up at the end of a long, dark, gloomy year. Didn't we just have one of those? Bringing out the worst in me, I hear your voice start breaking in fear when the lights go down. It feels like an actual situation he's describing rather than just general feelings of being angry or mad or I wish I could change the world, but I can't. I'm 100% going to give the first spot to Plus 44, and there it is, lycanthropy, werewolfism. These are not the lyrics to the song. These are lyrics to a different song. This one feels better than I Feel So. It has a little more maturity in the tone and the instrumentals. It's not so rough on the ears.
She's a pretty girl, she's always falling down.
This is a very strong song, and I find that Mark's writing is the sharpest and most interesting on this album that Mark has ever been on any Blink album, and Baby Come On may be the best example of what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of lines in this song that really speak truthfully and I think really hit home. The past is only the future with the lights on. I don't know if that's taken from something, but the implementation of it by Mark is very impactful. And I will say the acoustic version of this song that was on Punk Goes Acoustic 2 is excellent, but Boxcar Racer can pull it right back in with their third offering.
I watched the smoke as it grew darker.
All right, we're getting sappy. I hope everyone put on their 2002 emo best. I'm wearing too much color for this motherfucker. Holy shit, I forgot just how sappy and dour this album got, and I love it. I miss it. I wish more lead singers of pop bands would get this vulnerable. I saw this bots get rid of heartache and cure cancer too. Come on, world, we can do it. Let's pull it together. Does speak to me on a level. I just think it's fucking goofy in retrospect.
Turn it up, I never wanna
This song feels a little simplistic compared to the first two. Lycanthropy and Baby Come On are the two strongest openers I think Mark could have put forward. And it just sucks that the title track is this poppy, very basic fluff track. So I think I must add our first Boxcar Racer song to the playlist. See, I'm biased, but I am fair. And so we move on to our number 4 song, Tiny Itty Bitty Baby Voices. 4 songs in, and Boxcar Racer is really starting to find their voice. I find that the songs are getting stronger the deeper we go into this album, and Tiny Voices feels like the first real reason why this should exist. It feels like a reason for this side project to matter. I find Tom's voice very limited, but when you use it correctly, when the tone of the song supports his voice, it can actually elevate a song.
Please sleep, my darling, sleep.
This song is dour in tone and does bring the album down. And then we slow down to a heartbeat in the rhythm itself. A little death entering your life can make the overall experience more meaningful because now you can fully grasp the fidelity of life, you know? Do we want the playlist to get this low this quickly? And I enjoy this song. I enjoy singing to it. I really like how they pull in the very low, deep vocals. But fundamentally, I want the playlist to be energetic overall. And I feel adding this on track number 4 will bring it down too much. I'm actually gonna go with our second Boxcar Racer pick and add Tiny Voices. Now that we're even, it's anybody's ball game, baby. We really start to feel with this song Tom exploring different musical styles. Tom kind of exploring that angels and airwaves, synthetic quality in his vocals that smooths him out really nicely. The music, the instrumentals are still that tight Travis Barker beat. Tim Armstrong coming in so fucking clutch. This was a fun little cameo because you knew Travis Barker played with Tim Armstrong in the Transplants, and so it's not too far of a stretch to see how Tim Armstrong could get connected to be on this song, and I think his texture is fucking sick. This is probably the best sounding song so far. The production on this one, I think, elevates it above the 4 previous ones, but is it better in terms of the song quality itself? This is another poppier offering, like When Your Heart Stops Beating. It's a fine song, but I do find the repetitiveness of the chorus a little annoying, and it lacks that creative flourish to really make it stand out. And just for the sake of variety, I think picking a song with Tim Armstrong's guest vocals just adds a little bit of spiciness to the playlist. Will their good fortunes remain in their sits offering? And I what? And what? Fucking what, Tom? Speaking of poppy, we have what feels very much just like a rejected Blink-182 song. Like Tom wrote this for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and it just didn't make it for whatever reason. And that being said, it feels a little too simplistic to be on this album. Similar to Little Death, this song's a little bit of a downer, but I find the lyrical quality better than in Little Death, and stronger. Especially this first line, "This place I used to live made me feel like a tourist." Right off the bat, there's a very certain mood that you can just feel when you hear that line. I personally feel a lot more comfortable 6 songs in, bringing it down, than I did at 4 songs.
Caught off guard, all worked up.
Sort of funny hearing the line, "I won't sin," from the singer who is most famous for songs about f***ing a dog in the ass.
I love to masturbate. I just love to give myself orgasms. I love to deliver orgasms to the masses.
It's just a weird contradiction, you know, within Tom himself. The contradiction that is Tom DeLonge, the man. This song doesn't offend me, as the dirty little atheist I am. This song is not overly annoying, overly preachy. It just sounds like a sad kid writing a letter to God. That's fine. Tom can talk to whoever the fuck he wants. What I'm finding interesting about listening to these albums back to back, how much more I want the scene to Plus 44 over the Boxcar Racer album. Both these albums were impacting my adolescence at a similar point in time. However, the Plus 44 songs seem to have stuck around much longer and have impacted me more, I feel, musically than Boxcar Racer. So I personally say Cliff Diving deserves the spot on the playlist over Letters to God. Okay, so this is Tom DeLonge's first punk song. This song is cringy as all especially coming after Letters of God, where he said, I will not sin. And then the very next song, the follow-up song, hey, I fucked your brother. I got brownies from your mother. They gave me syphilis. Now I got no dick. I wonder if he included any of these lines in his Letters to God. What is with these bands that just keep coming with their politics? What is with these bands coming with their politics? That's not punk. I'm punk for calling out bands for putting politics in their music. They never went to school to find out that they were full of shit. I didn't really either. But I guess it doesn't matter. You took the time to listen to me. These bands are dumb and ignorant, and so am I. I got no dick. Calling out bands for being political or speaking about politics, it's like, sure, they may not be authorities, but at least they're like, I don't know, talking about something they believe in. At least they're trying to comment on the world instead of talking about the syphilis you get from fucking brownies. It just seems like a weird call out, and I think it falls flat on its fucking face. As long as Plus 44 can hold it together for this next song, they may be adding another one to our playlist. And it's the Interlude. God damn it. Fucking interludes. The one thing I cannot put on an album is a minute of fluff. Regardless of how pretty it is, regardless of how well it works within the tone and styling of the album it's on, I fundamentally do not give a shit about Interlude. Now I'm a little bitter, I'm a little frustrated, because I feel I must pick the actual song to put on the playlist, but it's fucking, it's this piece of shit. Just get to the next one. It really feels like Tom is just expanding on ideas he explored in other songs, or he will explore. Don't they have a song called Sorry that's on Dude Ranch? And it's weird to now put ourselves back in serious mode, to take him in as this vulnerable, serious, angsty musician that he is after my first punk song. It's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, believe me if you would, because I cared way more, because I really felt that you felt so much more. I don't know if Tom deserves forgiveness. Maybe we'll forgive him depending on if this Plus 44 song is more of a banger than Sorrow.
So you think you've been through it all?
Speaking of sorrowfulness, speaking of being full of woes, Weatherman just pulls it off with so much more ease than I think Tom DeLonge is capable of. It feels like Mark writes his songs with a nice calligraphy pen, and then Tom doodles everything in pencil on a fucking napkin. There's just a disparity when it comes to the approach that these two artists have towards the music. And while Mark may be going over the top to be this serious, grown-up musician, it feels a lot more natural on Plus 44 than it does on Boxcar Racer. And I think Weatherman is a strong example of how to pull in that maturity while also making an interesting song. Now we've come to the second and last single off of Boxcar Racer's album, the one where Tom gets super wet in the rain.
Do you care if I don't know what to say? Will
You can be sad. You have to make it integral to you and your life experience. Logic would state that the more specific you get about a situation, about your emotions, the less the audience will be able to connect to it because it becomes more and more niche. However, I find the songs that are more personal hit me harder as I can imagine the situation the artist is going through rather than putting myself in there. I can empathize with their situation because it is so specifically to them. Speaking of strong songs though, it's interesting that these two are paired together.
Curse my enemies forever. Let's slit our wrists and burn.
Speaking of getting personal, No It Isn't is as uncomfortably controversial of a song that I think Mark could have written given the timing where this album came out and how messy Blink-182's breakup was. Is this song about Tom? Has that been definitively stated, or has that always kind of been the lore that we've taken from it? Because there are a lot of suspicious lines, like search for an excuse and someone to believe you in foreign dressing rooms. I'm empty with the need to curse my enemies forever. The apathy of being on stage, playing with someone you don't really want to play with. He gets a little dramatic, talking about slitting his wrist and burning down something beautiful, or maybe he's speaking about how dramatic the situation may have been at the time and how dramatic it felt. But I think the apathy that Mark has towards Blink-182 at this point is just burning through the song. And regardless of how cheesy the chorus may be, I think going there works given the perceived subject matter. These are two strong songs and I enjoy both of them. I'm gonna have to give it to No It Isn't. This is a mostly forgettable song. I do like the imagery it creates, talking about kind of the end of the world, see as far as we can go. Ashes will slowly up to prove we're finally done. It's not very dynamic. The chorus doesn't really pop out from the verses, and it's just like a standard Tom offering.
The last time I saw you, you turned away. Couldn't see with the sunshine.
This one brings in a female singer, Carol Heller, who was actually, if I got my plus 44 lore right, she was supposed to be on the entire album, but then dipped out. I believe you can still find the demos where you can hear her vocals on there. But when it comes to the actual album, this is the only remnant of her performance. And I must say, her voice plays off really, really well with Mark. And I would have actually liked to hear a little more of it throughout the album. I think it elevates the song itself. And this brings us to our last offerings on this CD. Who will take the final spot on our playlist? Boxcar Racer or plus 44? Let's find out.
I saw it all go down.
I like the production on this song a whole lot. I like the idea. Two perspectives of a person jumping from a building, one from the person falling, one from a witness watching it. A little curious that they got Mark Hoppus to sing a verse on the record that broke up Blink-182. Not sure how Mark felt about recording his vocals for this song or how that came about. It's an interesting tone to end the record on, and I know there's an instrumental after this, but like, who gives a shit? It's an interesting tone to end the record on. This very morose song about jumping to your death. Plus 44 chooses to end their album on a slightly different note.
My heart hangs from this noose, like your footsteps in crowd.
Wherever they get these lyrics, I believe it's a lyric fine. Lyric fine, do fucking better. Most of them are correct, but one or two words aren't correct. I will say that Boxcar Racer has done a better job at illustrating Travis Barker's skill set. Plus 44 has chosen to blend Travis in with the music rather than have him be his creative influence that is like layered on top of like the Blink-182 self-titled album, and definitely a lot here. I really like the offbeat that he plays in Elevator, but I feel chapter 13 is just a much better closer. It feels like a follow-up to Baby Come On. It feels like it's taking everything explored throughout and pulls it together in this long, dramatized 5-minute relationship where you get the full emotions and the full scope of what these two individuals have been through. Feels more true and interesting than whatever Tom's weird suicide fantasy is. This song just has more class to it, and I feel like more layers than Boxcar Racer was able to produce. And so with that, coming to the end of our playlist, this is what we have: 8 plus 44 songs and 4 Boxcar Racer songs. Does that mean that plus 44 is twice as good as Boxcar Racer? I don't know if I'm equipped to answer that question. All I know is going song v song, these are the strongest and best representations that either album has to offer. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What songs would you have chosen? Are there 2 albums that you would like me to keep and or yeet? Please let me know in the comments below. Stay posy, stay swazzy, listen to some good shit.